Move on to our next panel, which is titled The Connect Between Science, Empathy and Crime. Joining us will be Dr. Anurupa Roy. She is a strategy and management consultant, and our senior news editor, Devika Chopra, will be in conversation with Dr. Anurupa Roy. Dr. Roy, Devika, we leave the stage to you. No, ma'am, please go ahead. Please, take your time. Can we change the background, please? There we go. No, pleasure was all ours, ma'am. Thank you for being here and coming all the way from Bombay for this. We leave the stage to Dr. Anurupa Roy and Devika Chopra. Devika, over to you.
Dr. Roy, welcome to We Women Want.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
So, we're going to be talking a little bit about science, empathy, intelligence, crime. So, I have to begin by asking you, in your assessment, ma'am, why doesn't intelligence always lead to compassion?
These are entirely two different topics. Intelligence, whether it is an innate or acquired, teaches us what all can we do. But compassion is something that teaches us what should we do. So for example, when we are intelligent, whether it is God gift, as I said, innate or acquired through education, we understand how much we are capable of doing. But when we are compassionate as well, we question whether we should do this particular act or not. So for example, I'll give a small example. An intelligent person without compassion, say he is only intelligent, wants to bring more economy to the country. But when it comes to compassion, he will think, what would be the cost of that intelligent act to bring that growth in the economy? Which is where we talk about the welfare of environment, animals, humanity. This all comes into picture.
Okay.
And there are so many reports and so many people who were intelligent, but not necessarily they brought better changes to the society.
Okay, so speaking about society then, do you think we can build a society and measure its progress not by what we achieve, but by how much or how little suffering we create?
We can, but importantly we should. Again, like we always speak about compassion as a side topic. It was never in the mainstream. Thanks to you all, today we are talking about compassion as well, along with growth. But now coming back to your question, think of it that way. What happens when you come to a doctor? Like I'm a doctor. So what happens when you come to me and I bring the baggage of my personal experience of that particular day to the patient? I may be having some personal issues at home. I'm not in the mood. But what happens if I bring that to the patient? We cannot do that because it is bound under a regime. We have policies, we have protocols, and now it has become a common practice to not bring your own personal problems while you are dealing with your patient problem. Similarly, if we stop thinking about compassion and only talk about intelligence or do our job without compassion, every aspect of life will get hampered, and we are not focusing enough on it. And I think we should. For example, I see a lot of people, like as a roadside victims, they are crashed on the side of the road and people pass by. God forbid, if it were you or I, we don't want someone to just not even stop and look at what is happening.
But Dr. Roy, do you feel that that is a lack of empathy when that happens? And what I'm trying to ask is empathy really a personal virtue, or is it something that can be built and should be built into institutions, into our entire system of being?
So not everyone is empathetic. If someone is, it is very beautiful. But now it should be in a system. And that system has to be built in different manners, through awareness, what you try to create, through policies, through punishments for crimes, for the crimes which are done without giving much thought about it. So basically, empathy, which has to be brought into civilization, has to come in different format, and policy making is one. It starts from home. You teach empathy to a kid. For example, when we see kids throwing stones at a dog or a street dog, they somehow learn it from the surrounding. A child is never born with hatred towards anyone. It is the environment which teaches him that maybe it's a threat or maybe it's fun to do it. And so empathy has to be in the society through various channels. It is not always in everyone, or at least maybe we lose it while growing through different life challenges we see. Maybe we lose it. Maybe we are born with it and we lose it, but it has to be in the society through different mechanisms. And policies are one. We have to bring it to the table.
Okay. And also, what does it truly mean to be human?
It's a very interesting question. So for me, being human is someone who understands the perspective of other soul as well. So for example, what I feel is that we humans have gone into ego drive to understand that we are the topmost in the chain of this universe, whereas it is not true. We are here to coexist with many other species. Whether we see them on our daily life or we don't see them, we have an ecosystem in the sea, we have ecosystem in the environment, in the air, in the soil. So being human is to take a break and think about everyone around us, what our activities or actions are going to impact. And even if we are being selfish, for instance, we have to understand what is the impact of our act back on us. For example, if we say that I'm a human being, but I want growth, I want money, I want job for myself, I want to build a mall there, I cut trees, we are not thinking much that it's going to come back to me.
Okay. Do you think there's any connection between animals and the crimes of humanity worldwide?
Oh my God, it's like it's a big deal. Everywhere, almost everywhere in the developed countries, the FBIs and all, they take human crimes as a parameter to check on the crimes that happens on humans. The people who have a history of doing crimes on animals, either in their childhood or when they're grown up, have a huge tendency to do crimes on the weaker segment of the society. Unfortunately, I see a lot in India, like when I came back to India after my education and job, one of the things that shocked me was that crimes on animals is never an important topic to be talked about. But we are missing a point here that it is being translated into human crimes we see on women, on children, and in many other forms, especially in the weaker segment of the society. So it is the time now that we take this very seriously.
Dr. Roy, last question to you before we let you go. You've traveled almost every country in the world. Any recent experiences in India where you felt that there was a lot of scope for improvement as far as empathy is concerned?
India is a very religious country, as it claims so. One thing that shocks me, being a person of this generation, being educated and someone who believes in science, is the connect between religion and humanity and empathy. For example, if I take some scriptures where gods are often accompanied by animals, people fear and love God, but I don't see it translated to the favorite animals of the god in the same way. So for example, you take dogs, which is called a form of Shiva, you take mouse, it's a vahana of some other god. But when it comes to treating the animals, we don't see the same love and compassion. We show towards the religious figures. It's a bit of shock for me. And the lack of scientific temperament among the common men, I would prefer and I would hope that India also looks into it, looks at the world in a more scientific way.
Well, Dr. Anurupa Roy, thank you so much for joining us at
Thank you.
We
Thank
Women
you giving
for
us the
that
opportunity
conversation.
to talk about something which is very rarely talked about. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Huge round of applause for Dr. Roy, please.
Many, many thanks, ma'am, and many congratulations.